Your car guy here. Today we're working on a 2009 Chevrolet Equinox. What we have going on is that the door locks won't unlock like they're supposed to with the power lock at all the positions. So we might lock and then unlock, and we'll see how it doesn't want to come open. That's because the power lock actuator, which is built into the door latch in here, has gotten weak. We're going to go ahead and change this actuator, or change the entire latch assembly out, and we'll show you how to do that. This is a really common problem on these. It's a fairly easy fix, shouldn't take long. So we'll start. We're going to take this door panel off. Okay, for starters, we're going to take off the door handle, and if you'll look, there's one Phillips screw, and it's right down through where the door lock is, so very easy to get to. When you remove the screw to release the door handle, if you'll take a screwdriver and simply push a screwdriver right here in the center, that'll release the front lock and allow you to take this handle right off out over the door handle. To access the door pull bolts, you'll need to pull this piece of trim off. You'll start at the back, pop it loose. You'll see where the clips lock in, and then in the front it simply hooks in. You'll need to make sure and be careful with that because it is very thin right here in the middle, and you don't want to break it. This will open you up to where you have two 10mm bolts. We do need to remove this speaker cover right here. It'll simply snap into place, so we'll just grab it and pry under it and pop it out. With the speaker cover just loose, you can go ahead and start reaching in and just grabbing the panel to pop loose your first clip, and then slide down and pry inside to get all your clips loose around the perimeter of the door panel. We're going to go ahead and remove the sound deadening vapor barrier, and these are put on with just some double stick, and if you work very carefully around the edges, you can slowly peel them off without tearing them. You know, you just want to be careful. And that glue that they use to stick them, you can usually just reuse that same glue, meaning you don't have to add any glue to put this panel back on. But just simply pull it away nice and slow as you work your way around. All right, with your inner door panel off and your vapor barrier off, we're going to do a few things. We're going to take out this window regulator assembly here. So we have one bolt at the bottom, one bolt here, one here, and then these two at the rear. These just need to be loose. The others you will take out completely. Also, disconnect your wiring, window motor. Before you disconnect the wiring to the window motor, I want you to roll your window down to where you have about 4 inches showing. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you access right here. There's a button that you can push with a screwdriver. We're going to release the window out of this regulator. So all you're going to do is take a screwdriver and press in on that button, and then you can simply force the window up out of the regulator by pushing straight up on it. And I'm sorry about the shakiness there. What that does, that releases the window. We can now shove the window all the way up to the top to get it out of our way, and we'll be able to take out this assembly. Next, we'll go ahead and disconnect our wiring by pushing the tab there, pulling it out. The wiring for the power locks, the tab is on the back side. Just pull it in with your finger, and then you can simply pull that wiring out. That gets the wiring out of our way. We're also going to need to take, there's these 3 clips on the inside, and what these are, these go to a wiring harness that is run inside this channel. We need to push those through. The easiest way to do that is take a pair of pliers and you squeeze to release the locks, and then simply push them through. So squeeze and push. And that releases the wiring harness on the inside. We also need to disconnect the clip here for the, this is the door handle itself. You can simply take a screwdriver or something, pry that clip away, and that'll allow you to pull that down and out. pull it out of that retaining clip there. Same thing with the lock assembly. You'll see that brown clip down in there. You're going to simply take your screwdriver and pry it away in order to get that one released, and then you can simply pull that up out. As we take the door panel off, we are going to take this little rocker out, but I'll show you that as we take the door panel off. For right now, it's good enough to get everything loose. One last thing before we pull our window regulator out. If you look right here, there is this plastic bracket that actually is attached to the door latch that we're going to change. What you'll do is you'll push in on that tab, and then you'll pull that bracket forward, and it'll release through that hole. There's another one right behind there, but you'll simply get those released. If you need a little extra room to get them released, go ahead and take out your 3 mounting bolts that mount the actual door latch. Those are held in with a Torx. Those are Torx screws, and you'll see we're using a T30 Torx to remove those 3 screws. That'll allow that latch to move and give us some room to work with this plastic bracket. There's a couple other places we're gonna have to unclip it from as well. So you can go ahead and take those out, and that'll allow you to slide this and pop it free. With our plastic bracket free, we're also gonna go ahead and get this loose. And what we'll do is we'll take this rod and we'll turn this further forward. There's a release point where that'll pop out of the door. You'll see it's just got 2 tabs on it that rotate right into there. So now, essentially, the window regulator assembly is free. We can slide it forward to release it here. Then we're going to take and tilt the back out first and lift the whole assembly up out of the door, and being careful not to damage these rods as we'll slide them out as we come out. With the window regulator assembly out of our way, we now have a lot of room to work, and you can see in here, there's our latch that we're trying to get to and remove. Now, you'll see this bar right here, which is the window channel. We're going to want to take that loose. That'll give us some additional working room. We do that by removing this 10mm bolt right here, which I've already loosened it up. We're going to just take that out. That'll allow us to pull that track forward and gain some extra room. One thing that is unique to just the driver's front door on this is that it has an outside keyed lock. We've got to disconnect the rod that goes to that right behind this little plastic cover, which you can simply take a screwdriver, get up underneath of it, and pry that cover out. Once you have that cover out, I'll show you what we have access to. Inside that cover, you can see the door lock rod that goes to the key lock on the outside. All you've got to do is take those red tabs and spread them with a flat screwdriver, and then pull that rod towards you, and it'll release it from this latch. This is the only door that you're going to have to do that on. The rest of the doors you won't have to do this. So this is the hardest door. So this process will work for all the doors, but I'm showing you on the driver's side door so you'll be able to do any of them. There you can see we've just simply pulled that rod out. Next, we want to release the rod that comes down from the door handle, and it goes back. I've actually already got it released, but I'm going to show you outside because it's right behind that window channel. You'll be able to move that window channel to the side, and you'll see that rod comes into this lock right here. And the way you release that lock is simply by taking a screwdriver or something and pulling this tab to the side, which will then open it up, and then that rod will just come right out of your way, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. There's that lock open, so you can see what it looks like. Next, we're going to release this bracket here. That plastic bracket runs behind the window channel and is attached to our latch. We're going to release it. It's just got some tabs that lock in. Release it, and now our whole latch is loose and will drop down. Now that we have everything loose, what you'll want to do is grab this window channel, just pull it out, and let the lock assembly just drop right down below it, right to the bottom of the door, and you'll be able to work with it. So we simply ran the whole assembly down underneath that window channel. Next, we're going to disconnect the wiring that actually goes to the lock actuator. This brown tab is the lock that holds that in. You're going to shove a screwdriver right under that slot and lift this up, and it will release this wiring and allow you to pull that right off. There you see it pulled up, and the wiring will simply, it actually pulls itself part way off. Then we can take the wiring and simply route it around the mounting clips, and we have the assembly clear. Next step is to remove this bracket, get it out of our way. It's going to need to go on the new actuator. This tab here, you're going to pull up on and pull that way, then lift that bracket because it has a hook right here. So you'll lift it up at an angle and simply disconnect it. We'll set that to the side. Next, we're going to take our lock assembly rods and we're going to transfer them over to the other assembly. So all you're going to do is simply pull out and kind of rotate. You'll see that the rods have a Z shape to them almost, not quite a full Z, but those 290s. So you just pull up and out. What you'll do is you'll insert to install it and then rotate the rod back into place as you push in, and it'll pop right into place. Okay, you can see all our rods assembled onto our new assembly. Now this is the driver's door, so it is the only door that will have this lever and this rod on it, and it's the only one that you'll have to mess with that. So this is the most difficult one to do. The others are much easier. Next, we'll put the plastic bracket back on this and we'll thread everything back in. Okay, your plastic bracket, remember you're going to hook right in there, then it's going to lower down and then slide this across to latch it into the latch. Now the bracket's installed and we'll begin threading this back in. There's a couple of things we'll note as we're going in with the wiring, making sure that we've got it in the correct place so that we don't cause ourselves any issues later. All right, we're going to install the wiring that goes to the lock actuator. It's simply going to run back behind the plastic bracket, insert, shove it forward, and then as you push that down, it sucks it in and locks it. Now you'll notice you've got some little hangers that this is going to hang in. Those are the ones we took it out of. We'll hang it, make sure that it's in there. It looks like that. Now when you go and put this back in, make sure to keep this wiring on the outside of these rods. And when I say the outside, the side towards you as you're assembling it. Otherwise you're going to have to undo it while it's in, and it's a lot more difficult to do. Also note that there's a little tab to lock this lock clip in that goes up to the driver's door. Do that now. It'll make your life a lot easier as we thread this back under that window channel and get it into place. With everything back in place, take note of the positions here. So this is the door latch rod. It's just dangling and it's inside the bracket. The lock rod is on the outside of the bracket. This part of the bracket is going to clip back onto the top there. We'll just lock it into place. We'll put our lock rod back in after we secure the door handle or the door latch in the place that it belongs, and put the screws and just simply close the tab, and we will test it before we close the door to make sure the outside door handle is working. This is how we'll test our latch. We'll actually close the latch with a screwdriver so you can see it's locked. Then we'll grab the door handle and pull on it. With our rod properly adjusted, you'll watch, and the latch pops open. We know we're in good shape. Don't forget to put your lock rod back in place. Simply get it up in there and then shove it back and latch it. And you'll see it's in the latch position. Now we know we're in good shape. With the lock installed, just put your plastic plug, just snap it right back. It's time to put the window regulator assembly back in. Make sure that those rods are over the top of that wiring assembly. Otherwise, you're going to have a little bit of a fight. We're going to slide those through this hole on the regulator assembly, and then we can work it in. When we come up, the other thing to be important about is make sure the window regulator assembly bottom part goes over that wire on the bottom. Feed it down in, rotate your back part in, and you can shove it back into place. Now, before we reinstall our bolts, we want to make sure we get this plastic piece back in and latched. And there's enough room on it that you simply pull it forward, shove it back in. It's latched into place. We'll set our window regulator up in, line it up with our bolts, and we can start to put it all together. Here we have it mounted. Important tip, before you tighten up any of your bolts, make sure you have all of them installed. This will keep you from tightening up in a weird angle where you can't get it to latch. Now, we're going to need to take this wiring, lock it back into this channel with the clips that are inside of it. That keeps it secure and out of the way where it's not going to rub on something and get damaged. We can plug back in our window and our lock switch. Boom, we're good. Good time now to put our lock assembly rod back in. Now this one we'll want to take and feed the front arm into the handle before we get this in, because it has to come forward slightly in order for it to fit into this pivot without and be able to get locked. So we'll shove that into the pivot, and with it in the pivot we can now attach it back to our lock, which is simply shove it down through the clip with the clip side part up above. So you'll go down in the hole and then you'll fold the clip closed. There's a view of our rod in the lock, and it's locked. It's secure. For this one, we'll put the rod up in the center hole, then we'll clip the lock around it. With it locked into place, make sure you put it into the guide right there. Just snap it in. With everything secure, it's time to bring our window down and latch it back into our window regulator. We'll just do that by hand. Make sure that you have secured your window channel before you do this. So we'll just slide it down and lock it into place. And there it is, windows locked in the channel. Now we can put our vapor barrier back in. Make sure to get it around our door latch, and we'll re-secure it all the way around. Vapor barrier is in place. We can simply stick our door panel back into place, and we'll latch all of the pop locks first before we put our bolts in. That way we make sure it's secure. So we just simply line up the little tabs and push them right in. The push locks will lock that panel in place. Door popped into place, we can simply install our door handle cover. The front will lock in, and then the rear will install our Phillips screw here. We're going to reinstall our 2 door pull bolts. Then that cover, we'll slide the front in and then latch it into the latches as we go back and make sure it's secure. Again, with the bolts installed, we'll simply insert the front tab, which slides in and locks, and then just simply work our way back gently, pushing in the tabs that lock into the door. Get them all closed. Then we'll put this cover back in. I did unplug this little speaker in it, so we could just pop it back on. We'll plug it in, pop it on, and we'll be good. When you put the speaker cover on, insert bottom first, and then the latch clip is at the top. We've been able to change these door lock actuators. Let's see how they work now. Look at that. No problem. This is your car guy. If you found this video helpful, please like and share and subscribe to the channel and help us grow.